a lot has been made about the goalie situation with the Blackhawks. Scott Darling, who has a connection to a lot of communities because he's been pretty well-traveled, but he was here in the Quad Cities as a teenager, went to Pleasant Valley for, about a year, and played for the Quad City Express. We talked to, was it Ryan the other day, who was 18 when Scott was 15 and had to back him up. And we found an article from 2004. Express's little darling growing up in a hurry. I bet he's never heard that as a kid, being called little darling. The coach of the Express, the junior team back then, was Ted Schlipp, and he said this: "The sky is the limit, to be honest, with this kid. He's one of the handful of kids in this league that I say can play in Division I or make it to the NHL eventually." Pretty bold statement.
It's one you don't make about every kid.
10 years ago. Well, Ted Schlipp is on the phone to tell the Quad Cities, "I told you," but nobody would listen to me. Hey, Ted, how's it going?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. You called it 10 years ago.
It is nice for it to actually come true.
Yeah. And because you said it, you were run out of town on a rail. Is that correct? You were kicked all the way to the East Coast. Is that where you are now?
That is correct.
Yes.
Now, how long were you coaching here in the Quad Cities?
For a year.
For a year. And did you say this about all the kids or just to cover your bets?
No. There was something special about Scotty.
Okay. And was it Ryan? Was that the goalie that we talked to, Goose? Well, Ted, you would probably know.
Yes, Ryan Gregory.
Okay, Ryan Gregory. He told us, geez, we're 18 and
we're backing this kid up.
Even we knew there's something about this kid. You did go on to say, I'm not saying that he will be in the NHL, but he's got that kind of potential. At this age, absolutely. So, well, what was it? What his work ethic, his style, what did you see 10 years ago?
For a 15-year-old, technically very, very sound, which you usually don't see at that age. But also with his height, at the time he was about 6'1", 6'2", and the agility that he had for that size just kind of blew me away. And there's a mentality that comes with being a top-end goaltender.
Yeah.
I was a goaltender myself, so I saw it right from the get-go. And actually, I tried to get him as a 14-year-old when I was coaching in Cleveland.
So he was on your radar even then?
Oh, yes.
Wow, okay. And so obviously you got to be rooting for him. When was the last time that you saw him?
I saw him on March 25th. They were playing against the Flyers in Philly.
Uh-huh. And this goalie situation is kind of interesting. Coach is in a tough spot. He pulls the guy that carried the team the entire season and throws this kid in there, and they win in overtime. Hey, man, thanks for doing that for us, but we're going back with our original goalie, and that blew up in his face. They got shelled. How many goals did he give up in 4 periods?
It was 4 goals, I think, right away.
Well, I think it was like 7 goals.
7, yeah.
7 goals in 4 periods or something like that. So Darling comes back, has a great game, and then last night they lose. So it's the question, I don't know, I'm just looking to you as a coach, Ted. What do they do now? Stick with Darling or go back to Crawford?
You stick with Darling for Game 6.
Yeah.
Yes, they lost, but, could I say every goal was a bad goal? Not even close. The team just didn't play very good in front of them.
Yeah.
You come back with them Game 6. If they don't win Game 6, then you come back with Crawford, I think, in Game 7.
Mm-hmm. And then Crawford's had a nice rest, actually. Probably.
Correct.
He's got what they say, fresh legs.
But if you switch goalies too soon, you pull him. Now you got 2 goalies who are head cases, and goalies are a head case to begin with, right?
Well, Ted knows.
Yeah,
correct.
And was he doing that thing where he goes and headbutts the glass back when he was a kid? You know what I'm talking about?
I do not recall that.
Okay. So he didn't learn. Ted's here to tell you guys. Yeah. He didn't learn that nonsense from me.
Did he have any other? Quirks or superstitions? All you guys are whack jobs. And he like wears dirty socks, or he puts one skate on backwards, or what? You know what I mean?
The only quirk I would sit there and say is I would tell him well ahead of time, that he would have to start, and then I would just leave him alone.
Don't talk to him. Don't look at him. Because there was a goal, and I can't remember which one it was, a goalie for the Mallards. His thing was he would lay out all of his gear, and then he would take his water bottle, and remember, he would baptize
he would spray it.
his equipment, like he would sprinkle it like it was with holy water, but it's just water from his water bottle. That had to be the bottle that sat on top of the net. I wish I could remember which guy it was. It's probably best I don't know because we weren't supposed to talk about it. But he's done. He's not playing anymore anyway. So, Ted, you're out on the East Coast. Are you still coaching, or are you just
What do you do for a living?
I work for Farmers Insurance. Actually, I work with the agents out in the field. But coaching-wise, I have a young family right now, so I kind of have stepped back. But I will be back in the near future.
How old are your kids?
7 and 3.
Okay, so you'll be back. Sounds like next season, huh?
Yeah, really.
Correct.
Need an excuse to get out of the house.
Exactly.
So, any plans to return to the Quad Cities, or you just got to go where work takes you now?
Wherever work takes me.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I've moved around quite a bit as well. So, whenever the call comes calling, you jump on it.
Any plans on seeing any more Blackhawks games in these playoffs? I'm assuming they'll get.
Not sure about these playoffs, but I will definitely probably see some games in the near future.
So he was at 15 years old. He was already over 6 foot.
Correct.
And how tall is he now? I see that one picture.
6'5".
6'5"?
Yeah, he's one of the tallest goalies in the NHL, right?
Correct.
And is that an advantage or a disadvantage?
Usually it would be a disadvantage. Usually because you're too lanky, and you wouldn't have the agility as I was talking about. That's one thing that still amazes me is at that size how fast he can move.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why he's there right now is to have that size, to take up that much net, but to also move at that pace. It's kind of amazing.
Well, conventional wisdom, you're that big, so you're covering more of it. But anything above the crossbar, that's space wasted. Yeah. It's
True.
That's
Correct.
dead weight.
Correct.
I don't even. What is the average in the NHL? Do you know what the average height is of goalies?
It's not off the top of my head, but I would imagine somewhere around 6'1", 6'2".
Oh, really? I would think it'd be more like mini-me. Seriously,
Back in the 80s, it might have been. Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's it's cool that your perspective on him at such a young age came to fruition. Were there any other kids that you coached that you thought, man, I think this kid could really make it, but for some reason it just never did? I mean, the percentage is so small and the odds are so against. So it's got to be cool to see him make it. But what other kids were playing that you thought, man, and it just never worked out for him?
Well, I was very blessed, especially as being a goaltender before. Ryan Gregory as well.
Yeah.
Even though he was 18, I probably had the best duo for goaltenders in the league.
Yeah.
I would basically consider them 1A and 1B. That's how good they were. So Ryan Gregory was good. Brent Swanson was another individual. Played on the top line, top centerman. Definitely had some talent. I know he played, college hockey, but I don't think he made it all the way up into the minors.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably say those three.
So much other stuff can, like in Scott's case, so much other stuff can get in the way if you're not careful. And when we had Ryan on, he said, coach was great to have in your corner because he was also a goalie, but he never understood how good I was. Wasted my talent. In fact, he blames you for not.
We're paraphrasing, but you get the idea. You can understand, Ted.
I said I was going to kill him someday, which is weird.
Along those lines.
Again, paraphrasing.
But no, Ryan was when they did an open call. The Mallards. This was what 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Come on out, show us your stuff. And Ryan was one of the ones that they said, you know what? Of all the people who think they've got the ability, he
got the dress.
Does. Yeah. And he plays. He's going to play deck hockey, or he is playing deck hockey now?
He's been chatting with Patrick Levesque for a couple of years, and but deck hockey has taken off here, Ted. It's become like a huge activity for all of us who can't play regular hockey, and a lot of people who can. They play it in the off season. A lot of Mallards play it.
Well, I tell you what, Ted. As we're doing research just on Scott Darling, I'll be honest with you, we didn't remember that name at all when he was here in town, and this story comes back. It kicks up from Thursday, October 7th, and we're reading this, and I see this quote about you saying he's got what it takes to make it in the NHL. Has anybody else picked up on this yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so, but the longer the story is out there, the longer they keep playing and the longer he keeps doing well, because everybody loves this kind of a story, from... Of
course.
What did they call... I saw something the other day from... something to hero. They had some nice, the top things you didn't know about Scott Darling and all of that. So, keep your phone close by.
Yeah, really.
All right. Well, go ahead.
I'm just more or less happy for him. He's a great kid, great family. So couldn't be happier than again when I got to see him this past month. To be as humble as he is for where he's at speaks volumes.
And what do you remember about the age difference? Him being 15 and everybody else being 18. 3 years, that doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're a kid, that's a huge difference. Those guys are men,
Definitely. For our league, you can play all the way up to 20 years of age. So there was players that were 19 and 20 out on the ice. That was part of the mystique about him is he could handle it. Yeah. And he was one of the top goalies in the league, even at 15. Most 15-year-olds can't play at that level. With boys or young men, being physically strong, but he can handle himself.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. First of all, I love to hear you talk about him because the coach in you comes out when you talk about how proud you are of him and how great you feel for him. And I can identify with that. So can a lot of dads who've, even if you've just helped out at dad's club, whatever, you can see those relationships begin to take place. But we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago with Liam Stewart, who just came out of juniors to play his first pro game in a playoff setting against the Rush for the Mallards and got his first goal. But we asked him, what do you think it's going to be like? How are you looking ahead? And he said, well, here's the difference. I'm going to be playing with men. And that's coming from a 19-year-old kid who had already been playing at the highest level of juniors. Even that transition, he understood it. So at 15, that's just got to be really intimidating for a lot of kids. And the fact that he could handle it, because there's a lot of head game, especially when you're a goalie. You let one lucky shot by or one great shot by. It's not about that shot anymore. It's about what you do to recover from it. So there is a strength and character there. I love watching him play. All you crazy goalie guys. It's just, it really is fun, the way you psych yourselves up and overcome, the individual issues in a game to continue to play. It's the hardest position on the ice for sure.
I agree.
No, that's not what he's... Go ahead.
And that's the other thing that was special about it was he was my first phone call. When I got the head coaching job, he was my first phone call to get on that team. And my whole plan when I got hired there was, I want to take this team to the top, but you got to build with some young talent that hopefully will be able to move on and make a name for the team. I'm totally bummed that the team's not there anymore.
Yeah,
but that was the whole idea of hopefully, 5 to 10 years later, you had someone that played there in Quad City that, now in the show, and really would take that organization to the next level. Well, so I'm very proud of him, and it makes me feel good that my first selection was him, and this is where we're at now. So,
and there's probably a bunch of dads who got into it with you back in the day. You don't know what you're talking about. Hey, I could spot.
You have no idea.
You can hold on to this article and go read this and get back to me, please. Well, Ted, I appreciate you chatting with us, and it's like I said, it's been a fun story to watch. And frankly, without the goalie controversy at the first round of the playoffs for the Blackhawks, I don't know that I would have been that interested in it. But this has got, I think, the Cinderella story aspect of it is pretty cool. So,
oh yeah.
All right, if anybody needs a deal on Farmers Insurance and they're out on the East Coast, they can get a hold of Ted Schlipp.
Until Quinville calls him and hires him as the goalies coach for the Hawks. So you better wind that up fast.
All right, buddy. Have a good weekend, man. Thanks for talking to us.
You too, guys. Thank you.
All right, see you. He sent us pictures of him with Scott Darling. At that meeting. What did he say just here
a couple of weeks ago?
And we'll get those posted up at twodorks.com.